team that was down 2-0 going on the road to Cincinnati in the division series. They came back and won it. Down 3-1 to the Cardinals. They won Game 5 and won Game 6 and 7 to get here. And now it took 4 games to win the World Series for the Giants over the Tigers.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Hour number 3, JD for Steiny, Daryl the Guru Johnson here as well, and we're rolling along and playing that call of the Giants winning the 2012. Hard to believe, 10 years ago, Goo. Incredible. Yeah. And the guy that was on the mound that night at the start and on the mound at the start of all of the Giants' clinching games in 2012, the one and only Giants legend, Matt Cain, joining us here on 95.7 The Game. Matt, thanks a lot for taking the time, and tomorrow night's sure going to be pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely will be. It's going to be fun to see all the guys and, just go through all the ceremony and reminisce about, all the good times that we did have.
Is there one guy maybe among the group that you haven't seen in a while? I know you do get the chance to see a lot of the guys with everything that you're doing, but is there somebody maybe you haven't seen that you're looking forward to seeing that was a big part of behind the scenes and a lot of fun to be around?
I haven't seen Zito in a while, and he and I were always close from the very beginning. So it'll be great to be able to catch up with him. And then, golly, if it's just. We've probably got so many guys that'd be hard to name everybody. But it'd be just fun to see everybody, really.
Matt, let me ask you this, because I know it was a special season, special moment, and not just your only championship. Like, when you think right now about what tomorrow's going to look like, what comes to mind? Because from the outside looking in, I'm envious because I always wanted to be part of a team, but you guys were champs. What's that look like? How do you get prepared for tomorrow?
I don't think you really do, I guess. You just show up. I guess that might be how you prepare. They're doing everything, hopefully, for us. Hopefully we don't have much going on. We just got to kind of partake in it and be a little bit of a fan, which I think will be the fun part.
Is it a little surreal? Because, the Giants do ceremonies. That's kind of the joke, better than anybody, right? And I know even throughout the years where you're pitching and you guys are doing big things and yourself, but there were a lot of nights where maybe you were warming up and a ceremony was going on the field for something else, and they were bringing guys back. Did you ever have a chance to think, man, this would be something if someday I'm the legend, tipping my cap to everybody for what we did?
Yeah, it definitely was. They've always done a great job of putting on ceremonies and always appreciating the past guys, the Hall of Fame guys, everybody that's been a part of the organization in all different ways. So it's always been the thing that when you come into the big leagues, you always notice that they do a great job of putting on ceremonies and always keeping guys around. So it's nice to be on the other side of that and be able to partake in it, and hopefully, they just keep it going, and the next guys that are in the uniforms now can also, make their own memories and have their own ceremonies coming up for them.
Matt, I always like to ask former athletes, like, not just about their pro years, but the come. When you were pitching in high school, for the kids even listening right now, when did Matt Cain know, what, I got a possibility to be a major league professional pitcher?
I probably didn't really believe it until my senior year in high school. Before that, I was like, okay, I've got a chance to go and play at the next level in college, but I didn't really realize that I had a chance to be able to push farther than that. It was always a little bit a step at a time, and once I got into my senior year, you started to have the realization of like, hey, you know what, maybe I can actually do this a little quicker than I thought. And is that an opportunity that I really want to take on at the time? If the moment, or if the whole situation pans out, the way that you'd like it to. And luckily I was able to and kind of follow my dream at an early age. And, everybody has their different steps, where they might go through college and whatnot. But, I was lucky enough to be able to go through high school and be able to step right out of high school and really jump into my dream at a really early age, which I was very appreciative of, and I think it was a great route for me.
Matt Cain joining us here on 95.7 The Game. What stands out for you about, and I'm sure a lot of it runs together, but the 2012 team versus the 2010 team that won or the 2014 team that won? Because, I mean, you could make a case that was the best team. They had the best record among all those teams, but also had to maybe fight the most to stay alive and all of that. What stands out to you about 12 versus the other years where you guys were in it and won it?
They just had different ways of unfolding, for sure. We were always the underdog. In 2010, we were. I mean, maybe with us in Atlanta, it was going to be a little bit of a coin toss because I felt like we both had similar staffs and similar offenses. It was kind of whoever could kind of take care of business the quickest and make the least amount of mistakes. And luckily, we were able to be on that side. And then, throughout that postseason, against Philly and against Texas, we were always the one that was not favored. So we took that and we enjoyed it, actually. So in 2012, I think we felt like we had a little more confidence coming in there, and I think in some ways it may have hurt us because I don't know that I think we thought we were going to be able to push past teams a little easier than we did, but that group had to learn that it's not over until it's over, and luckily we had guys that stepped up like Zito and Pence to kind of light that fire for us.
Matt, when you do what me and my partner do, we don't travel with the team. We react to what we see in the stats or whatnot, but we never know what's really going on behind closed doors. And the reason I bring that up is this year, after the current team, after winning 107, kind of struggling a bit. And I keep telling anybody that'll listen, I personally feel like, Matt, they miss a guy like Bruce Bochy. And I know baseball is big into analytics right now, but can you just speak to what it was like to play for a manager like Bruce Bochy?
Yeah, it was great. He did a tremendous job of trying to get the max out of everybody, and it wasn't always the easiest for guys. And I'll speak for that for myself as well. It's like, wait a minute, like I used to be the guy, and now I'm not the guy. So it's like he was not afraid to try to mix and match and push guys around and figure out how to get the max out of everything. And it took some adjustability for guys, and it wasn't always the easiest thing, but I think that's what made him successful, is he was not afraid to try different scenarios for what he felt. And I think that's what I always appreciated about Bruce, is he wasn't one that always looked at the numbers and went with it or went against it. He sometimes just had to go with his gut, and he was tremendous at it, and that's, I think, why we were so successful in the playoffs.
You mentioned Zito and getting a chance to see him and looking forward to it, and everybody knows the story about not being on the playoff roster in 2010 and then not being in the playoff rotation initially in 2012. He became one of the many great stories, obviously, of the 12 run. How crazy is it, though, and this is something we were talking about a little bit earlier before the show, how crazy is it that when Zito goes into the rotation in the elimination game in St. Louis, that he went into Madison's spot when you think of how great Madison's been in his career in the postseason?
Yeah, and that's where, you look at what Boch did, and Zito stepped up. Obviously, he came through huge for us, and that was what we had needed from him. But it was like guys weren't afraid to step into those situations, and then guys were also very, they were selfless in ways and saying like, hey, you know what? It's somebody else's turn that needs to step in here because this is not about me. And that was a tremendous thing that we had going on with all those groups of teams that we had.
Matt, I promise you I'm in a good mood and I'm a happy dude, but I'm just mad at the game of baseball in a lot of ways. And I'm just wondering, when you sit back and you watch the approach by these Major League Baseball hitters today, the three true outcomes, do you think about your approach today if you were pitching? Would it be any different than from the last time we saw you in your era?
No, I don't think so. No, I really don't think so. I think I still would have gone about my business the same. I would have just try to find ways to get guys out as soon as I could, and be able to pitch deep into the games, and that would have been my job. Yeah, I don't think it would have changed from if I was trying to throw now or if I was trying to throw, back then.
How much of, when you look at just the different years, but 12 specifically, like what was because you guys were down in those first two series, when was the, hey, we're going to win this thing moment? Like in the Detroit series, when was the we're going to win this thing moment, or maybe it happened before that, like in the Cardinal series, because you guys did win, 7 straight once you got down to St. Louis from there. Was there a moment where you thought, we got this, and when was that moment if it hit you?
I really don't think it was until we got that final out. It was great because that was the team that we had, and we always gave the other team respect. It was never a situation to where guys were like, oh, we've got this in the bag, we're going to take care of it. We showed respect to the other guys in the other dugout because we knew they always had a bunch of firepower, and we had been through it to where the game could be flip-flopped super easy one way or the other, and it was something that we didn't want to have happen to us until Romo, got that final out in 2012. The game wasn't over.
Matt, let me ask you this: the Pirates are in town. That's who the Giants will be taking on tomorrow. And I mentioned last year, 107, it was magical. As a former big leaguer, are you shocked that it's not that this year? What do you see when you watch this year's edition of the Giants?
I mean, it might be hard to hear, but no, I'm not surprised that it's not the same. It's just so hard to do. They put together a tremendous season last year, and being a part of winning teams, it is so hard to repeat. It is so many things that you need to go in your favor, and there's you also need help from other teams around you to whether it's timing of playing a hot team or a cold team. There's so many variables, so it's not as easy as everybody wants to make it out to be, for sure.
Well, Matt, I know tomorrow's going to be special, and the beauty for you guys is you guys can celebrate every couple of years now at through the next decades. It's you can do 22, you can do 32, you can do 30, you can do 34. Like you guys are going to just be having celebrations, man. So enjoy tomorrow and enjoy the years to come and what was really a special run, obviously, that you guys had.
Will do. Definitely appreciate it, guys.
All right, Matt Cain joining us here on 95.7 The Game.